Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the program. We're coming to you live in Washington, D.C. And coming up on Firstpost America, we'll have the latest on Donald Trump's talks with Vladimir Putin, as well as Joe Biden's aggressive form of cancer that now he and his family are faced with. But we first begin with today's headlines. President Donald Trump speaks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in a bid to end the war in Ukraine. The call follows direct talks between Russia and Ukrainian delegations in Istanbul last week. France's Foreign Intelligence Service denies claims by the Telegram founder Pavel Durov that its chief asked him to ban pro-conservative Romanian accounts ahead of the weekend's elections. The International Court of Justice rules today on a decades-long dispute between Gabon and Equatorial Guinea over 3 islands in potentially oil-rich waters. The conflict dates back to the 1900s when colonizers France and Spain set the border between the two nations. South Korea's e-commerce company Coupang cancels a Kanye West concert scheduled for late May due to recent controversies involving the artist. This follows the U.S. rapper's recent song praising Adolf Hitler. And gold prices rise over 1% as the U.S. dollar continues to weaken and safe haven demands climb after ratings agency Moody's downgrades the U.S. government's credit rating amid lingering trade concerns. Today we begin in the U.S., where President Trump's sweeping crackdown on immigration meets the glitz of reality television. In a surprising twist, the Department of Homeland Security is currently considering a pitch for a reality television show in which immigrants compete through a series of American-themed challenges to earn U.S. citizenship. The pitch, submitted by Canadian-American television producer Rob Warsoff, was confirmed by DHS officials on Friday. Tricia McLaughlin, Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, described the proposal as a quote-unquote celebration of being an American and emphasized the agency's willingness to review out-the-box pitches. However, she did clarify that the idea is still under review and has neither been approved nor rejected.
The pitch generally was a celebration of being an American, and what a privilege it is to be able to be a citizen of the United States of America. It's important to revive civic duty.
Now, Warsoff, who's best known for his work on Duck Dynasty, a reality television show about a Louisiana hunting family popular among Trump supporters, said the inspiration for this new concept came from his own naturalization experience.
We need a national conversation about what it means to be American. We need to be reminded of how proud and what an honor it is to be American.
Now, the show, which remains untitled, will feature 1-hour episodes where contestants, who will be all immigrants, would face a range of physical, mental, and cultural challenges rooted in American traditions. In fact, according to a 36-page pitch deck accessed by the Daily Mail, the show would open with immigrants arriving at Ellis Island, the historic entry point for millions of newcomers to the United States. Then the competitors would travel across iconic American locations. And according to the pitch, one challenge might take place at NASA facilities in Texas or Florida, where contestants would be tasked with assembling and launching a rocket. Then in another, participants would be asked to reenact the California gold rush in San Francisco, testing who can retrieve the most precious metal from a mine. And in the meantime, there would also be elimination challenges where contestants get divided into 2 groups. And although the finale would feature the winner being sworn in as a U.S. citizen, but more importantly, Warsoff did emphasize that there would be no deportation or legal consequences for participants who in fact lose.
This isn't the Hunger Games for immigrants. This is not, hey, if you lose, we are shipping you out on a boat out of the country.
The proposal comes at a time when immigration remains a highly charged issue, and President Donald Trump himself, a former reality television show host, has pushed aggressive policies through DHS targeting undocumented immigrants, refugees, and even some legal residents. In fact, his administration has also worked to eliminate temporary protected status for nationals from countries like Haiti, Venezuela, and Afghanistan. So as the DHS reviews the pitch, the question remains, will America really turn the path to citizenship into a national game show? Because even though the cameras may not be rolling yet, the stage is already set and the stakes couldn't be higher. And now we shift focus to the Middle East, where Israel has said it will now allow a basic amount of food into the Gaza Strip, more than 2 months after imposing a blockade on aid into the territory. The announcement, which came from the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, followed mounting international pressure on Tel Aviv to lift the blockade imposed in March that the UN warned could trigger a famine in Gaza.
At the recommendation of the Israel Defense Forces and out of the operational need to enable the expansion of intense fighting to defeat Hamas, Israel will allow a basic amount of food for the population to ensure that a hunger crisis does not develop in the Gaza Strip.
Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu's office also said the government would act to prevent Hamas from diverting or seizing humanitarian supplies. The aid announcement came just hours after the Israeli military said it launched extensive ground operations across northern and southern Gaza. The military said this marks a new phase in its campaign to destroy Hamas infrastructure and free remaining hostages.
The IDF, led by Southern Command, has opened the military operation Gideon's Chariots according to the state cabinet's order. We embark upon this operation to achieve every war objective in Gaza, returning the hostages, dismantling Hamas's leadership. It is important to emphasize that we'll adjust to every possible development.
And now, in line with this operation, the Israeli military said it carried out a preliminary wave of airstrikes on more than 600 Hamas targets in the past week, killing several fighters. Gaza's health ministry, however, reported claims at least 484 Palestinians were also killed in the last week alone, including 130 in a single night. It further noted that nearly 3,200 people have been killed since Tel Aviv resumed strikes on March 18th, taking the overall death toll to more than 53,000. Meanwhile, indirect talks between Israel and Hamas are now underway in Doha, and negotiators are trying to reach a deal involving a ceasefire, hostage release, and potential terms to end the war. Hamas has reportedly offered to release half of the remaining living hostages as well as the bodies of those killed in exchange for a 2-month ceasefire. The Palestinian group had also demanded full aid access and strong guarantees from the United States for negotiations. But Israel has maintained that Hamas must first be militarily defeated before any political deal can in fact be discussed. A senior Israeli official reportedly said there's been no breakthrough so far in the talks, which apparently resumed over the weekend. Now, this came as Israeli protesters demonstrated in Tel Aviv over the weekend, blocking roads and making speeches calling for an end to the war in the Gaza Strip and the release of the remaining hostages.
Netanyahu, if we find out again that you sabotage the opportunity for a comprehensive agreement, we will launch an all-out war against the government until we remove you and your ministers from power. We will bring back Matan and everyone, until the last hostage. Take to the streets, people of Israel.
With talks still ongoing, civilian casualties mounting, and a fragile aid corridor just beginning to reopen, the situation in Gaza remains deeply precarious. The question now, can diplomacy outpace the gunfire before the humanitarian crisis worsens? And now to a revelation from a former FBI agent. Special Agent Jonathan Boomer has alleged that Russia's intelligence agency, the GRU, targeted Elon Musk by exploiting the billionaire's alleged weakness for sex, drugs, and a lavish lifestyle. Now, according to reports, the operation involved attempts to influence tech CEOs to gather compromising information allegedly approved by Russian President Vladimir Putin himself.
Musk's susceptibility to promiscuous women and drug use, especially ketamine, were seen by Russian intelligence as an opportunity for an agent to exploit.
The former FBI agent claims that Musk's liking for the desert rave event Burning Man, adult entertainment, and gambling were seen by Russian security agents as a possible access point to the tech billionaire. Moreover, the alleged operation extended to venture capitalist and PayPal founder Peter Thiel. The GRU, known for its aggressive and clandestine global operations, is one of the most powerful arms of Russia's intelligence agency. And envoys from the agency allegedly offered both Musk and Thiel direct contact with President Putin.
The envoys sent to contact Musk and Thiel offered direct contact with Putin. They would not have done so if Putin had not personally known about the action and approved it.
Now, reports suggest that Elon Musk has been in direct contact with Putin since at least 2022, with discussions ranging from personal matters to geopolitical issues. In fact, one alleged request by the Russian leader was for Musk to not activate his Starlink satellite internet service over Taiwan as a favor to Chinese President and Putin ally Xi Jinping. Meanwhile, the Tesla and SpaceX CEO's stance on Ukraine has also evolved over time. In 2022, he reportedly offered his Starlink satellite service free to the Ukrainian armed forces, but later threatened to pull back the support. And by last year, he'd become increasingly critical of Kyiv as he aligned himself with U.S. President Donald Trump. Now, earlier this year, Musk suggested that Ukraine must hold elections, claiming that President Volodymyr Zelensky would lose. However, the claims of the Russian intelligence agency targeting Elon Musk emerge as the tech billionaire's popularity and business profits have declined amid his involvement in the Trump administration. Now, last month, Musk signaled that he would be stepping back from his role as the chair of DOGE to fully focus on his company, Tesla. But despite this, President Trump said that the tech billionaire could stay in the administration for as long as he wanted.
Really been a tremendous help. You opened up a lot of eyes as to what could be done. And we just want to thank you very much. And, you're invited to stay as long as you want.
So with Russia's spy agency accused of targeting tech billionaires, the focus now shifts to just how deep does the influence go and what it means for U.S. security in the years to come. Former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that's already spread to his bones. The diagnosis comes just months after he left office and stepped away from a second presidential run due to mounting health concerns. Biden, who lost his son Beau to brain cancer in 2015, has led major efforts to combat the disease nationally. And as the former president and his family reviewed treatment options, support has poured in from across the political aisle, including from President Trump. Here's the story with more.
Former U.S. President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has already spread to his bones. The 82-year-old was seen by doctors last week after experiencing urinary symptoms, and a prostate nodule was discovered. Following further tests, his office confirmed the diagnosis on Friday.
Last week, President Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of a prostate nodule after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, characterized by a Gleason score of 9 with metastasis to the bone. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone-sensitive, which allows for effective management.
Now, in a rare moment of political unity, President Donald Trump, who is Biden's longtime political rival, responded with sympathy. Writing on his platform Truth Social, Trump said, "We are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's diagnosis. We extend our warmest wishes to Jill and the family. We wish Joe a fast and successful recovery." Vice President Kamala Harris, who took over as the Democratic nominee after Biden dropped out of the 2024 election race, also expressed heartfelt concern. "Joe is a fighter," she wrote on X. "He will face this challenge with the same strength, resilience and optimism that have always defined his life and leadership." Former President Barack Obama shared his support in a moving message. "Michelle and I are thinking of the entire Biden family." He wrote, "Nobody has done more to advance cancer research than Joe. We pray for a fast and full recovery." Joe Biden's battle with cancer is deeply personal. In 2015, he lost his eldest son, Beau Biden, to brain cancer. Beau's death had a profound impact on him and became a driving force behind his mission to fight the disease. Following the tragedy, cancer research became one of Biden's most important causes. In 2016, then-President Barack Obama appointed Joe Biden to lead the Cancer Moonshot Initiative, a nationwide effort to accelerate cancer breakthroughs. Then as president, Joe Biden relaunched the initiative in 2022 with the goal of halving cancer deaths by 2047. Millions of dollars in funding and national attention followed, driven by Biden's passion and leadership. His efforts gave hope to countless families across the country. And now, that same disease presents him with a personal battle unlike any other. Biden's diagnosis comes just months after he left office. He had dropped out the 2024 election race following a widely criticized debate performance and growing concerns about his health. Kamala Harris stepped in as the Democratic nominee, but ultimately lost to Donald Trump. Throughout his long career, Joe Biden has faced immense loss and personal hardship. From losing his wife and daughter in a tragic car crash in 1972, to surviving a brain aneurysm in 1988, to burying his beloved son, his life has been defined by resilience. And as he faces another test, people close to him believe he will meet it with the same quiet strength he has shown for decades. As former President Bill Clinton said, Joe Biden has always been a fighter. This battle will be no different.
And finally, a chilling case out of Colombia. 22-year-old Maria Sanchez, a student and a social media influencer, was shot outside her home by a man posing as a delivery executive. Now, this happened just one day after she won her court battle against an abusive former boyfriend. He's reportedly under investigation, but no arrests have been made so far in the case. Our final report has more.
Maria Jose Estupinan Sanchez, a 22-year-old social media influencer and university student, was fatally shot outside her home in Colombia's Cúcuta. The shocking murder was caught on a CCTV. This occurred just a day after she secured legal victory in a domestic violence case against her former boyfriend. According to Colombian authorities, the influencer was approached by a man posing as a delivery worker. Surveillance footage shows the suspect carrying what appeared to be a gift, shooting her at point-blank range before fleeing on foot. The influencer was rushed to a local hospital but succumbed to her injuries. The case is now being investigated as a potential targeted killing. Maria Jose Estupinan had recently been awarded around $7,000 by the court. This is after successfully prosecuting her former partner in a domestic abuse case. Authorities are probing whether her murder was linked to this ruling. Her former boyfriend is reportedly under investigation, but no arrests have been made so far. Footage of the suspect shows him wearing a black cap, jacket, jeans, and a backpack. A standard attire for delivery personnel, which helped him evade suspicion until the moment of the attack. His escape, also recorded on nearby cameras, shows him fleeing through adjacent streets. The killing has prompted strong reactions from women's rights groups and legal officials. Social media is comparing it to the other incidents that have happened in the past. One user pointed out the high rates of femicides in Latin America. One user called the murder brutal, cruel, and ungodly. Another user called the man a hitman. The 22-year-old influencer was a student at the University of Pamplona. She was pursuing a degree in social communication. The influencer also had a strong social media following, where she documented her life as a student and aspiring model. The influencer's death has drawn comparisons to the killing of Mexican beauty influencer Valeria Marquez, who was shot days earlier during a live stream. Both cases have fueled calls across Latin America for stronger protections for women and more effective action against gender-based violence. As police continue the investigation, Estupinan's name has become another grim reminder of the ongoing femicide crisis in the region. One that has now taken the life of a young woman whose only crime was surviving abuse and daring to seek justice.
That's Firstpost America signing off for today. We look forward to seeing you all right back here again tomorrow. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in.